So if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and tell me a little bit about your role at the NSPCC.
My name is Adeniyi Alade, and I am one of the service heads for the Childline bases in Childline. I have responsibility for our bases in Aberdeen and in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how important do you think Anti-Bullying Week is? Because obviously that's why we're here, in the help to raise awareness about the bullying issue in the UK?
I think it's really important that we take some time out to recognize the impact that bullying has on children and young people. And Anti-Bullying Week allows us to do that. Not only does it allow us to talk about the impact on children and young people, but it also allows us to look at the things that cause bullying as well, and be able to think about how it is we can support children and young people to navigate that really challenging time in their lives.
Yeah. And is there anything specific that the NSPCC does around this time in regards to Anti-Bullying Week?
Well, we talk a lot about what we have from children and young people. We share their views about how bullying affects them, and we also share some hints and tips that we often talk to young people about, that we share with them, and that they tell us is helpful for them to deal with or to support them with bullying. So those are the things that we do. Because we are also a member of the Anti-Bullying Alliance, we also promote the message of the Anti-Bullying Alliance as well.
And through your talks with young people, what are some of the most common types of bullying that they are having to navigate?
Well, very often they talk to us about the bullying that happens to them in school, being called names, being excluded from friendship groups, being teased about things that have to do with the way they look or their preferences. We also hear young people talk to us about being bullied online as well. And that happens in a variety of different ways as well, being excluded from gaming groups or conversation groups. Some situations where young people talk about other people taking control of their social media profile and sharing rumors and messages about them that aren't true. There are instances where their pictures are kind of modified and sent in ways that they haven't approved. There are lots of different things that we had hear from young people, things that kind of make them feel unhappy and being trolled online, things like that.
And during lockdown, have you seen a rise in cyberbullying?
Particularly with cyberbullying, we have seen quite a bit of a rise, because a lot of the activities that young people do these days, it's moved online because they cannot, some of their schooling has moved online, and in certain cases, a lot of the getting together with their friends that they do, a lot of socializing that they do, they're doing it online right now through gaming platforms and social media sites. We've seen an increase in incidents of bullying happening online. For us in particular, we have recorded about a 70% increase on the conversations that we're having with young people about bullying online in particular.
And what are some of those long-lasting effects of bullying that you see? Do young people come to you with those kind of concerns?
Well, in a lot of instances, young people talk about how difficult it is for them to go back into school or to feel accepted, or it causes them quite a bit of physical and social anxiety, and being able to socialize within their normal groups or being able to talk about things freely because they're quite self-conscious in certain instances when they're being bullied, and there are things that are being said about the way they look. It leads to, in some instances, them feeling really conscious about their bodies. And
Mhm.
so things like that are the kind of things that they talk about. We find in some cases that that bullying then begins to affect their mental health.
Mhm.
Some young people begin to self-harm, and some feel so bad that they don't want to be around anymore, begin to have thoughts about suicide.
Would you say appearances was one of the more common issues that stems from people being bullied?
In some cases, appearances is one of the things that they talk about. That there are a variety of things that seem to crop up. In some instances, some young people have spoken to us about being bullied because of their race. And so it does vary in terms of the kind of things that young people talk to us about.
Mhm. And what kind of advice would you give to our readers, for example, on how to spot the signs of bullying or anything that they can do to help?
Well, most young people who begin to experience, in terms of spotting the signs of bullying, in a lot of instances, you find young people begin to withdraw into themselves,
Mhm.
and they kind of avoid other groups of young people because they are concerned that they may be intimidated by other young people who cannot who then pick on them and bully them. So that would be one of the things that in terms of the signs of it that they talk about. Um, and when it comes to the advice that we give, uh, we would always encourage that young people look for a trusted adult to talk to about um, what they're experiencing, whatever the
Mhm.
kind of bullying is, either it's happening physically in the playground, or even if it's happening online, would encourage that they talk to a trusted adult about it. They could also talk to someone at Childline about what they've been experiencing. And we've got counselors who they can speak to either over the phones on 0800 1111 or through our website, childline.org.uk. They can have a one-to-one chat on there. We also have a message board on our website where they could share their experiences with other young people, and other young people can offer
Mhm.
some support and advice. We would encourage them, if the bullying was happening physically, if they could avoid the places where they find that they are being bullied, would encourage them to avoid those places. If,
Mhm.
if if it happens in times when they are traveling, would encourage them to also not travel alone. If they can have a trusted friend with them that they can travel with, we will encourage them to do that. If the bullying was happening online, would say to them to look at ways in which they can take a break from time to time from those social media sites, or gaming sites where the bullying might be happening.
Mhm.
Would encourage them to look at alternatives that they can do in those situations. Most social networking sites and gaming sites have ways in which people can report um, abuse or bullying of any kind, and will encourage them to take the step to report the abuse, or
Mhm.
to report the bullying to the site. Um, in doing this, they can ask for support from a trusted adult who can support them with the report process, and can also continue to provide them the emotional support that's needed as they go through those processes. Um, I guess the other thing that we would also say is that bullying is not their fault. They haven't done anything to prompt or to encourage other people to bully them. It's something that somebody else is doing to them. So it's not their fault that they're being bullied. Would encourage them to look at healthy routines that they can keep, and look at ways in which that they can boost their own confidence as well. There may be times where they could be much more assertive themselves in interactions with their friends, or with people that bully them, and so would encourage them as well that where it seems right, where it doesn't put them into more danger, to try and be assertive as well.
If, for example, assertiveness isn't really part of their nature, what other ways would you advise them on how to stick up for themselves, so to speak?
So that can be difficult, and the thing that would encourage them to do is to look at a trusted adult, look for a trusted adult. If, for instance, the bullying was happening at school, there are most schools have a duty of care to children and young people,
Mm-hmm.
and we would encourage them to seek out either their class teacher or their pastoral care teacher at school, to look out for these individuals and to get support from them. I agree with you. It can be difficult for some
Mm-hmm.
young people to assert themselves.
Yeah. And especially with online classes as well, if the bullying is taking place online, they might feel as if there's not really much of an escape. There's
Yeah,
nowhere for them to go, but it is important for them to get some kind of balance, and try and find other places where they feel safe online, where they
yeah,
can avoid the bullying.
absolutely. Um, and it's usually helpful if they have the support of an adult to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Very often, young people say to us that they they feel that the adults in their life might blame them for what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess the encouragement that we'll give to them is that, most adults they recognize right now that we're in a really tricky uh, situation where young people spend a lot of their times online, and
Mm-hmm.
they need help when they have difficult situations, and so would encourage them to get an adult involved in whatever it is they're doing.
Do you have any advice for adults who might not know how to really approach the situation with their kids? Like, is there anything in particular that they can do other than just being there for them to really encourage them so that the child feels like they can go to them in the future?
Yeah. For adults, we at, at the NSPCC, we have a partnership with O2, where there is a website that we've created that is called NetAware. That website has lots of information that um, adults can, that will help adults kind of understand what being online is like for young people. So we'll encourage some adults to also kind of look at ways to educate themselves. But for the adults, we would say to them to take the time to listen, to listen and to understand what it is that the young person is experiencing. They should talk to them,
Mm-hmm.
and they should support them to see how they can block um, whoever it is that might be bullying them online. That most sites have a way in which you can put a block in place, or stop those individuals from contacting the young person. It won't be a good idea to kind of take away the device that the young person is using.
Mm-hmm.
Some adults sometimes think by taking away the device, you stop it. Sometimes that is almost been um, punishing the young person for something that isn't their fault,
Yeah.
and you may be, reinforcing that it's their fault for that having happened.
Mm-hmm.
But if you talk to them about what their needs are, or what they're experiencing, remind them also never to begin to send unkind messages back, because that in itself can, aggravate the situation a bit
Mhm.
more, make it even worse. Wherever adults are able to intervene, if there are right situations where, one adult can speak to another adult that's responsible for a young person that's doing the bullying, would encourage the adults to involved in that way, and to support both young people, because it might be that, the young person that's perpetrating the bullying as well, that something has prompted them to the extent that they are doing this themselves. So would encourage the adults to, on both sides, to be willing to support young people, and always help the young person identify the right place to be able to access support.
Well, thank you very much. I know that you don't have loads of time left, but that's all the questions that I really do have for you.
Okay.
So I really appreciate you taking the time. And could you just repeat the website again for the NSPCC and the number, so if in case anybody needs help?
Well, the number for Childline is 0800 1111. Young people can contact us on that phone number. The phone number is free, so they can contact us whenever they want to. And the website for Childline is childline.org.uk.